This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, coming along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Tuesday, December 17th. And it is certainly another whiteout as the snow had disappeared, but it's back. Back with us. Todd O'Leary, how are you, sir?
I'm good this morning. How about you?
Good. I guess I'm going to have to go outside and make some snowmen, man. It's back with a vengeance.
It's green as can be here.
Yeah.
I'm already down in Jacksonville ready for the bowl game.
Well, I wish. Man, that would be a great place for us to be right now. I promise you that.
We talked about doing the show down there for a week. We might want to extend that out for
the month.
Maybe leave
the
day
month,
after
the
Christmas.
entire month. Yes,
yeah,
just do
come
the
back
rest of the
February 1.
Absolutely. Big news going on, of course. Fred Glass retiring as Indiana's athletic director. We're going to be talking about that. We'll hear from Fred Glass. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today, as always. We'll talk about potential replacements for Fred Glass. We'll talk about what he's done along the way, which is a lot. The Colts, they lost. They're out of the playoffs. Devontae Green, Archie talked about him at his radio show yesterday. Did you know the guy who allegedly has the chair that Bob Knight threw out in Reno now also owns O.J. Simpson's Heisman Trophy?
Really?
Yeah,
well,
I was just reading about the trophy this morning, and that other little tidbit fell out.
If he bought that from O.J., he probably only paid like $50 for it.
Well, no, he didn't buy the trophy from O.J. He bought it from some other dude who had it in Philadelphia. But, that chair, the story of that chair is still – there's absolutely zero confirmation that is the chair because they still have some of those very chairs on the IU campus. Those hard red plastic chairs, and I don't know that there's any way, shape, or form they can confirm that one is the one.
Yeah, I don't either. That seems a little bit of a stretch to me. I mean, how would you get out of Assembly Hall with the chair if he took it that day or from that point on? I'm pretty sure somebody probably put that chair away. I mean, they're so tight.
That's the funniest thing about the story is that it wasn't put away separately, allegedly, because, they had those things were loose and you just stacked them up. So I don't know that anyone thought quick enough to do that. And when they put, because they tear down Assembly Hall after every game, you see all the stuff that's out there when you're as a fan, when you're there, the chairs that line the court and the sideline and where all the scorekeepers,
scorer's table,
all that stuff is taken away. And so after every game, that the entire court is cleared. So I don't know that there's any way that anybody did that, and that's just been a big thing over the years. But
what year was that? What year did they throw?
1985.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
But
Dolson would have probably been one of the guys there then. He would have probably been one of the managers there then.
Speaking of Scott Dolson, he's one of the guys that, and maybe the leading candidate on the list to replace Fred. A list that I have created. Now, this is not a list put out by the school. Let me be clear there. The only list is one that I've created. This is not from the school or not from anybody else. It's just some names that there's no way that this guy is not on this list. And it's a short 3-man list. Pat Kraft, who's currently at Temple, an former IU football player, is currently the IU athletics director at Temple. He's worked in the Indiana staff. Chris Reynolds, a former basketball player, who's the AD at Bradley in Illinois, and he also has worked in the IU staff. And then, of course, Scott Dolson, who has and continues to work on the IU staff under Fred Glass, and to me is probably the heir apparent to that position, but we'll certainly see what they do with that.
Yeah, he should be the heir apparent to it. Scott, I've known Scotty since I showed up as a freshman there on campus, and if anyone has ever been groomed for a certain position, it's him. And since he's been bleeding IU and been a part of that whole athletic department since he arrived on campus, and he was a manager under Coach Knight, and kind of the lead manager. And I mean, he's easily been the guy who, it appears from the outside, they've been grooming for quite a while to be the next person to take that job. I'm surprised it's the timing that it is. I didn't see this coming. Did you see this coming from Fred Glass? Has there been any indication?
No. The timing surprised me, number one. But number two, no, I didn't see this coming. But now that I've sit there and thought about it, I'm like, ooh, it makes some perfect sense, because the only area that Fred Glass, if you want to say, has failed is with restoring basketball, and to the level that people want to see it at. Now, maybe that's an impossible job. I don't think so, but it is definitely a tough one. But he has not gotten the flagship program to where he'd like for it to be. I think he would be the first one to tell you that. But that puts pressure, a little more pressure on Archie now, because we've all known, we talked about this behind the scenes, Fred Glass really couldn't fire Archie because he's the guy that hired him and gave him this contract. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, I was wrong. It's kind of, I can't do that. And so he's stepping out of the way now. And so after this season, if Archie fails to make the tournament again, I can't imagine that his seat is not going to be extraordinarily hot. And whenever you see
I think you've lost your mind when it comes to that.
Well, maybe so. That's just maybe so. That's my opinion. If he fails to make the tournament yet a third year, and especially if you don't have Scott Dolson as the AD, if you have somebody new come in, ADs like their own guys, and especially when things are not going well. And if Indiana misses a third consecutive NCAA tournament under Archie Miller, while his peers are having their programs in the top five, I think that's just going to put more pressure. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying what. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I don't. I mean, it'll be disappointing. I agree with that side of it for sure, but I don't. I'm just not a guy that believes in the. Let's start anew and let's abandon what we've got, what we're building, and we're never going to build a long-term culture if after 3 or 4 years, every time things aren't going everybody's way, we just abandon ship and start with a whole new crew. I've never been a person that believed in that, and I don't think at
what point do you say, hey, it's time?
If things are going crazy, like in the Kelvin Sampson area, you had players here that were bad people. You had players that were doing stupid stuff. That to me, if that's the case, if all of a sudden we've got kids breaking the law,
so losing doesn't matter.
It's not a matter of losing. It's a matter of if it looks like you're building something that has the potential to win. Now, if they're going 3-30, yeah, that's a different story. I mean, but they're not. I mean, if they're hovering around
but consistently not making the tournament, that's not enough?
Consistently 6 years into it, yes, that's enough.
So
consistently 3 years into it, that's not enough for me.
6 years, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'm not. There's no way I'm going 6 years deep into a program. You can tell if a program is not going in the right direction. If you're not getting anywhere, you're not getting anywhere. I'm not saying that's the case.
So you're basing. So
no, I'm just asking. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying if it were to be the case.
I'm saying you're basing that, and the answer to this probably is yes, as is 99% of the people. But you're basing what you're saying in the success on wins and losses and making the tournament, right? So then when does it become, okay, well, making the tournament, we've made the tournament 3 years in a row now. That's not enough. We got to make it to the final 8 because I'm the same way. All Indiana fans, we're the same way. Making the tournament is not our goal.
But if you're not getting that far, then there's no point in having any other goals because you're not going to reach those.
I get what you're saying. So, I'm saying a 3 or 4 year.
I'm not saying that that's what it's going to be. I'm saying if it were to happen and he failed to make the tournament a third year in a row, his seat would be extraordinarily hot. And if you have a new AD, he has things to worry about. ADs want their own people. It is just a time-honored tradition. It's when things are not going well, they're not going to stand by and watch the ship go down with somebody else's guy. They're going to say, hey, if I'm going down with my own people. So that's just my thought. I mean, I'm just if he misses the tournament again and there's someone hired as the AD from outside, I'd say he has a lot to be worried about.
Yeah, I hear you.
But that's down the road, so it doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah.
And we'll get to that point. We don't know who's going to be hired and all that. So, but regardless, I think that there's no way that it's not an IU person. I think that's a guarantee because, like I said, I think Scott. I agree with you. I think he's probably the top candidate. I'm not saying he's the most worthy. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not. There's way too much information that needs to be known by us to make a statement like that. So,
True.
So these guys, but I can confidently say all three of these names, knowing that all three of them are worthy candidates. I know that Scott Dolson is a worthy candidate, but I also know that Pat Kraft and Chris Reynolds are as well for what they've accomplished and where they are currently in their position. So, and all three are IU guys. So they all filled that bill, and they all check different boxes. So it's nice to have that kind of option because that was not the case when they hired Fred Glass. I don't know where Greenspan had come from. I can't recall, but it was kind of a mess and a hurry up and just all kinds of stuff. They're fortunate they don't have that kind of situation. Things are good for the most part right now. Things are going well, and so it's a whole different scenario and a much better scenario to hire somebody in this position as well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of that. I think that it's here would be the only negative I would say with if Dolson was hired would be he has done such an incredible, and this guy has been fantastic at being the president or whatever the title actually is of the varsity club and the fundraising efforts and things like that. So if you take him out of that role, they're going to need someone to replace that role, and that would be hard to fill Scott's shoes in that role. But I know when they named him the associate AD several years ago, I felt at that point that's probably what they were doing. And these guys are not dummies. I mean, if they've been grooming Scott for taking over that role eventually, then I'm sure they've been grooming somebody to take over Scott's role as well. So these guys, all of this, I'm sure will be calculated. It's new information to us, but I doubt it's all that new information to those real close to the situation there. So I don't think Monday morning Fred Glass walked in and said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to retire at the end of this year. I'm sure there's been some discussion in their inner circle.
Yeah, and unfortunately, again, Fred Glass has hired of the 20. There's 24 sports, but I think there's only 22 coaches. Of the 22 coaches, he has hired 15 of those, and his first of which, and this one surprised me. I didn't realize it went back that far, but the first coach that he hired was Todd Yeagley. I did not realize it went back that far.
That's the first coach he hired?
Yes, that was the first coach he hired.
Well, that was a good one.
He's got several good ones. That's the thing. He's done very well in almost all of his hires. Obviously, Jeff Mercer on the baseball team wins a Big Ten championship in the first season. And I like Jeff a lot. He's young. He's invigorated. He's just a great coach. I love working with him. Shonda Stanton, softball. She's got that program headed in the right direction. She's fun, easy to work with. Steve Aird, volleyball, same. You can go right down the line. Angel Escobedo with wrestling. He's Terry Morin. He hired Terry Morin. So he hired Tom Allen. So he's got a lot of good hires that are working, that are got programs heading in the right direction. The women's team, they're heading in a direction they've never been in. So the baseball is successful and just all that. But again, the flagship program, the one that people look at and care about the most is the basketball team. And until that is heading in a direction that fans really like, that's just going to be a topic of conversation.
Let's say majority of fans, because you're never going to get somebody that all the fans really like.
Hell no. There's one guy I think that they could hire that would shut everybody up, and of course that's Brad Stevens. And if you don't like that hire, you're a moron.
Yeah.
So, he may be the only guy that they can hire, and everybody go, yeah, that's a good hire. But even then, there has to be an idiot out there.
Maybe we should see if Danny Ainge wants to be the AD then.
There you go.
Add him, the fourth person on the list. Add him to the list.
I don't think that they could come up with the change it would take to get him as AD.
I'm just saying. You wanted my pie in the sky, Rainbow Land.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. But so you got that. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's a big deal when an athletics director at a school. I mean, they're basically. It's the highest person in athletics, obviously, but it's one of the highest ranking people in the university itself, right. Period. I mean, they carry weight. They're responsible for a budget of over $100 million, people.
It's funny. It's funny that most ADs are, I don't want to say most, I want to say pretty close to all ADs are more well-known than presidents of universities.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And they have, and what they've done, their role has changed unbelievably over the last 20 years. I mean, it used to be a guy who his responsibility was just running the athletics department, making sure the buses were where they're supposed to be, and signing up games and getting coaches every now and then and all that stuff. But now they're negotiators. You pointed out that Fred Glass is an attorney, and a lot of times that's the case because they take that contract skills and whatnot and use that into this role now to TV and all the dollars have grown so much that the responsibilities have grown with that. It's not an easy job, folks. I don't care who you are. It's got to be a very stressful job, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like being the coach, like of any of the big time sports, whether it's your school is a football school or basketball school or both or whatever it is. When things are not going well, you seem to take the brunt of it, and when things are going well, you don't get any of the credit. So it's one of those jobs. I think your success is measured a lot more probably once you're gone and once they can compare it to somebody else. And then they look back on all the things you've done. And that's where I think Fred Glass is going to be looked at as Clarence Doninger was, he was the AD back when I was in school, and he was just one of those people that, you wanted to just be a lifelong friend. And I truly believe Fred Glass is the same way. I mean, Fred Glass has never, treated me with anything other than the utmost respect. So he's always been what you would want the AD of your school to be. So that's why it's sad for me, and just from a personal level. And I think the stuff he's done on paper, and you look at everything that he's accomplished, and you look at the facilities at the university compared to what it was 10 years ago, and it's pretty outstanding.
Absolutely. We've got to hit a break. Jake, let me go long there. We're getting deep into there. We've got more coming up. Also on the program today, of course, Chronic Hoosier. It's a Chronic Tuesday. We'll hear from him. We're going to hear from Fred Glass, and we'll hear from Archie Miller as well. So plenty more to get to here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry. We're back at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Treasure maps, falling trees, operator.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this snowy Tuesday, December 17th. Welcome in, Chronic Hoosier, because it wouldn't be a Chronic Tuesday without him. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing well, man. We are finals week in delay, counting down the days till winter break sets in here in Bloomington, counting down the days until bowl season sets in here in Bloomington, man. It's great times.
Yeah, I was talking yesterday. I said, man, there's not a lot going on this week. Not a lot happening because it's dead week. Finals going on. Then, of course, Fred Glass dropped some manna from heaven in our lap. And not in our lap, but story-wise, that is, at least, with the announcement that he's going to be retiring yesterday.
Yeah, certainly a surprise to not just myself, but pretty much everyone that I know that's involved in such things. I don't think a lot of people saw that one coming. By any stretch, but it certainly was a jolt to the otherwise the slow goings right now at this time of the schedule.
Yeah, I was not expecting that either. Not at this time, at least. It was not a time I was expecting that, but there it is. And so that's going to be an important part of Indiana's future for athletics because, as we all know, athletic directors, he of the coaches that are in place right now, Fred has hired 15 of the 22 or whatever it is. That's an amazing stretch.
No, there has been from a staffing standpoint, certainly from a facility standpoint, there has basically been a complete overhaul of the athletics department under Fred Glass's tenure here as athletic director at Indiana. It's been a remarkable time. He is Indiana's first full, I guess the Big Ten Network came around, what was that, 09-ish, 07-ish. I believe I saw it was a couple years before Fred officially took over after Greenspan, but really kind of heralded Indiana through the era of Big Ten cash, everything, not just the cash, but the exposure that the network brought to the conference. And, a lot of changes that happened therein, whether it be the various conference alignments that have been in place during his leadership, certainly transitioned through some marquee hires in both football and basketball. I think on par, you have to look back and view Fred's time here at Indiana as nothing short of a fairly resounding success. I mean, obviously basketball has struggled to attain the past glory that Fred made no bones about striving for. But, when you look at where his biggest revenue sport is football, with the chance to match the program's highest win total in well over a century, I think it's been a pretty remarkable run under Fred's leadership here at Indiana. And, if you hadn't been here in 15 years, driving down 17th Street, looking at the athletic complex, probably nothing like you've ever remembered. He's completely remade the bones, the actual structures that comprise athletics. So fortunate for his leadership, really anxious to see and excited to see what direction they go moving forward. I do think timing-wise it was a good fit. President McRobbie set to leave next year, Indiana's bicentennial. It's one of those where there's going to be a lot of upheaval in the leadership structure across the university. So allowing the next group to kind of find a team that works together and can, agree upon and strive for common goals.
Absolutely. I think for me, there are three names that jumped off of the page for as far as candidates. Pat Kraft over at Temple is an IU guy, former football player. Then you've got former basketball player Chris Reynolds, who's the AD over at Bradley in Springfield, Illinois. And, of course, Scott Dolan, who's right here and has been the right-hand man of Fred Glass, who's been involved in raising tons and tons of money and has done a great job as well. So three really good candidates that just and that wasn't the case before. It's always like, oh, well, who you gonna get? Who you gonna get? Well, at least now they've got some good names to look at.
Not only do I think they have a strong applicant pool, and I think you're spot on in those names. I'd probably throw in Julie Cromer-Peoples. Although she's probably a little bit too new in her current role. She was a former athletics administrator here at Indiana who then moved on to Arkansas, and now she is the recently hired AD at Ohio, but I wouldn't be surprised if Julie gets a look. She's got a lot of Indiana background, a lot of contacts here. Came in under Fred's initial leadership team. Scott Dolson's probably the inside favorite if I had to put odds on it right now. Scott's been with Fred since he started here. Scott previously came over from the Alumni Association that he used to lead. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anyone who knows more names, who's better connected in the Indiana universe than Scott Dolson. And as you mentioned, he's been absolutely a savant in terms of fundraising and capital leadership within the department. But Pat Kraft, Chris Reynolds both bring with them really impressive resumes. Pat is one of the few PhDs you're going to find in this world. He'd studied at Northwestern after he did his undergraduate master's studies here at Indiana. Came back. He was the original head of marketing under Fred's first team as well. And Chris Reynolds also part of that team. He was, I believe, he was head of legal for athletics before he moved on. So great candidates. But not only that, I think the department as a whole is in such better shape. Just in every measurable or conceivable element as far as how we look at athletic department success. Not only do they have strong financial reserves, they've got a much stronger facilities and faculty position than they had before. But I think when you look across the board, both internally and externally, just the relationships that have been fostered and really developed under Fred's leadership. Whether it's the donor class, the alumni, the former athletes, the current students even. And I think that's going to be one thing the next AD is really going to have a hard time matching is Fred's engagement and commitment to the students, both within his department as well as around the university. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. We as alumni, as fans, get so caught up in just the spectator element of it, and kind of lose sight of the fact that this is still intercollegiate athletics. This is the home team for a lot of students here, and a big part of the university community. And I think Fred has done a tremendous job, as well as the people he's assembled underneath him, of really putting the student experience first, both for the student athletes as well as for the student spectators. So I think that's going to be critical to sustain going forward, because you'd be hard-pressed if you look across the country to find a successful athletics department that doesn't have tremendous buy-in from the student body it represents.
Yeah, it's going to be a great situation for someone to come into, as opposed to what Fred Glass came into, with the Big Ten money now coming in, with all of the things that they've done here recently, additions, upgrades, and whatnot. So, and coaches in place for the most part across the board. They're coming into a much nicer situation. And of all the coaches he's hired, one that I did not realize was that he hired Todd Yeagley. I did not realize. I thought that he was already in place, but Yeagley was one of his hires.
Yeagley was one of his hires, and in all fairness, probably one of the easiest hires an IU athletic director is ever going to make. Filling that particular vacancy. But no, he made a point to top off his list of accomplishments here. With that 2012 national championship team. And I think along those lines, though, too, you look at not just the traditional powerhouse that is soccer, but when you look across the board at some of our other historically successful Olympic programs, swimming and diving is back atop the nation for both men's and women's on both ends of the pool. You look at the track and field program, the cross-country program, women's basketball in particular. I thought they had a home run hiring Kurt Miller, and with his abrupt resignation, they certainly ran the risk of losing all that momentum and all the excitement that had been built back up. And in order to really, sustain that, not just sustain it, but even elevate it further with Terry Moore. And just kudos to Fred for not simply focusing on the revenue sports. I mean, obviously those are critically important. From a financial standpoint, from an outward impression standpoint. But I think one of the greater parts of his legacy is going to be his stewardship of all the Olympic sports, particularly those that IU has had a historical dominance in.
Absolutely, and of course, as you've mentioned, basketball being the one that stands out more than, and with Fred Glass leaving, that may, depending on who comes in, may put a little more pressure on Archie Miller to make sure that things are heading in the right direction sooner rather than later.
I think you're right there. I think the chronology of his tenure here probably lends itself to that, as is anyhow. Regardless of leadership, but I think it's probably going to put a higher emphasis on, getting an alignment of goals and some measurable steps in achieving those with the new leadership, whomever it may be. But at the end of the day, I think it's a hire that everybody is very, content with so far. Obviously there's a long way to go. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not like they have a hard time selling tickets to Assembly Hall as is. That's one thing that's been a constant pretty much no matter who was in charge, administration-wise or coaching-wise. Indiana fans are going to support Indiana basketball pretty resoundingly throughout the highs and the lows. I think the big thing, when you look at the department's growth, particularly, in the revenue sports, is looking at football and what its true potential is. And it's hard to imagine Fred leaving football in a better place than where it is right now. Obviously they've made no bones that they strive for conference championships, that they want to be back to the Rose Bowl. But also, with the pragmatism, recognizing how incredibly difficult that is in today's Big Ten East environment. So in the grand scheme, probably as close to the apex as you could hope of football success at this point. And, leaving basketball in a place where I don't think anything is abundantly clear as far as what the near-term future looks like. But you certainly have some pieces in place and some action, in furtherance of those goals that they stated, early and often, that the next AD is at least going to be well positioned, so that it's not basically a 4-alarm fire the moment he walks in the door, kind of similar to what Fred inherited. So certainly leaves it far, far, far better than where he found it. And that's, at the end of the day, as a steward of the program, that's, I think, probably the best you could hope for.
Absolutely, Chronic. Well, brother, we appreciate you joining us as always, especially on this snowy day. I know you probably got extra duties today because of all the weather that's going on, so we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Hey, as always, thanks for having me, man. Look forward to it.
You betcha, brother. It's Chronic Hoosier. We'll be back with more at Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Tuesday, December 17. Snow falling in central Indiana.
Sun shining and green grass in southern Indiana.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
shit it.
I was thinking about golfing today.
Gee whiz. I couldn't even see a golf ball. I could take every golf ball I have and throw it out in the yard right now, and you couldn't find one of them.
Couldn't find it? Oh,
Not
you're
one of them.
You're one of those guys that plays with green golf balls. I guarantee it.
No, white. They're white. That's why you couldn't find them. They'd be landing in the snow.
You look like a green golf ball kind of guy.
I play with whatever ball I find. I promise you.
That just solidifies that you and I will never play golf together. Perfect. It would be probably the equivalent of us playing basketball together, which that'd be pointless.
No.
Also,
Yeah, that'd be pointless. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, in a game of Jake. I mean, just because you're younger, I guess I would give you a little bit of leeway. But if we played a game to 15, ones and twos being 3-pointers for you young kids, do you think you would score at all against me, or do you think it'd be 15-0? Think you could score?
I watched your game film, and
I could score.
Defense, so I mean,
I'd get beat, but I'm going to score.
What'd you say, Jake?
I said I watched your game film. I saw how you played defense, so I think I'd do that.
Hold on a minute. But
the shot has been fired from the bow.
But here's how it would start. There's a possibility you could score one basket if you got the ball first. But if it's make it, take it, and I have the ball first, neither one of you would ever see the ball. Zero chance. Zero chance you would ever see the ball.
Fred Glass is stepping down as Indiana's athletic director. Announced that yesterday. We met with him yesterday afternoon. That kind of was not what I was expecting my afternoon to go like. But that came out like at 11:01. Well, it came out 1 minute past when we get
off the air.
When we finished taping. Yes.
When you texted me right after that, I was like, why did you hang on to that until we got done talking?
I didn't. I was like, golly, now I got to hold on to that till tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we could have done a bonus hour. I'm always up for a bonus hour.
Well, yeah, I didn't know about it. As soon as we got done, I'm like, hello.
Yep. Yeah.
But he did talk to the media yesterday. He took questions, but he had an opening statement when we met with him. So here's what Fred Glass had to say.
As you all know, every day is a great day to be a Hoosier. But today is a particularly great day for this Hoosier. As I announced earlier today, at the end of this year, this academic year, the bicentennial year, I'll be retiring as the AD at Indiana. I won't be retiring totally. I'm just retiring from Indiana and as an athletic director. Like I said in the comments in the release, it's just time. And it being time doesn't mean that I don't love it anymore, because I do. Still love it. And it doesn't mean that there's nothing left to be accomplished, because there's plenty left to be accomplished. It just means that it's time. It'll been almost 12 years for me, and it's an all-in, all-consuming, every day, all the time job, which is part of the reason I really love it. But now I'm ready to step back and do something a little more flexible, spend a little more time with my 4 granddaughters and another grandchild on the way in January. So that's what I'll be doing at the end. I don't know exactly what I'll be doing, but I know something will come up and it'll be great fun. So I came here to try to reestablish a strong foundation for Indiana University athletics. I really feel like we have done that, and it's time for me to exit stage left. So I will be doing that.
There was Fred Glass, the outgoing athletic director for Indiana University. I asked him if he would be involved in
the selection.
The selection process of his successor. And you can pull that up in a second, Jake. It's around 7-minute mark. But he said that he wouldn't. But at the same time, he said he's already provided his confidential counsel to the president. And those were the exact words he used. I have provided my confidential counsel to the president. I mean, that sounds very, very fancy to say I've recommended Scott Dolson to take my place.
And here, quite frankly, almost publicly, but even like around the football stadium and game days and basketball days and all that. I mean, you almost saw one if you saw the other, and Dolson was almost always around, and it was almost as if they've been grooming it for him for a while. And I can't remember how many years ago it actually was when they changed Scott Dolson's actual title to associate athletic director. But when that happened, it was almost as if they were that was the process, and that's what they were doing, and they were grooming him for that position. And if so, you got to give them an enormous amount of credit. That's why until they actually name who it's going to be, I don't necessarily know that that they would come out and say that that's what they've been doing. But once they determined Scott was the associate athletic director, and he's kind of with Fred Glass all the time. It only seems to make sense. That's what they've been doing. If that's not his recommendation, I'd be shocked.
Me too. But now you do know, though, that title, associate athletic director, goes along with all the media relations people as well.
No, I didn't know that.
JD Campbell is the vice president of. No. He's an assistant athletic director, senior assistant athletic director. Fred Glass is a vice president of Indiana University. That's how big that position is. But I think a lot of those guys under him are kind of parallel. But you're right as far as Scott. Scott's his right-hand man. Scott's
the guy. And he's been involved in just so many of those. If they're going to hire from within, that easily makes the most sense. Now
I've thrown out some names from outside, and they're great candidates, but that's not the only candidate.
Yeah, there may be other. Within. Those are still IU people. I guess that's how you. No, I guess I shouldn't say it that way. I mean, they're working outside, but then if you start to look at other possibilities and other names, which I think that just in order to do their due diligence, I think you have to. There's a ton of other candidates that are possibilities.
Here's Fred Glass. Here's what Fred Glass said when I asked him that question.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I won't really be involved in the selection of the successor. I have provided my confidential counsel to the president, and I'll continue to do that as asked. But that will be his decision. When you move on, you move on. And I've moved on from a lot of cool things, and I think you just don't look back. So I'll be around as people may ask, but I won't be underfoot. And in terms of the selection process, that will be 100% run by the president. I think he'll have an announcement this week of more details about how he's going to approach that.
There was Fred Glass saying that he basically really won't be involved in the process, but he has provided his confidential counsel to the president.
You got to be pretty smart when people are asking for your confidential counsel. That's lawyer speak that only those guys really understand. But it sounds cool. You're right. It's a really cool way of saying, "Hey, I told him who I think it should be." But
saying that I have provided my confidential counsel to Todd Leary does not have the same ring to it.
Not quite the same impact as what I think it has when it comes from Fred Glass and an actual attorney.
Now now names outside isn't Tom Dockich an attorney in Indianapolis, a contract attorney or something?
Yeah. So you
and Dockich has made not that Dan Dockich would ever want anything to do with this, but I'm just saying.
Here's you named off people that immediately this is what everyone's going to do. They're going to go look at former IU people, IU athletes, and they're going to look at what they're doing now. I mean, that's why Chris Reynolds and Kraft end up being, immediately on the list. You go outside of that and you look at people that just kind of make sense and are from around here and have had a tie to Indiana for a long time and are also attorneys. If they don't interview Tom Dockich, I would not feel like they did their complete due diligence.
Did he go to Indiana?
He went to DePaul, I believe, but I'm not sure where he went to law school. So I don't even know that. I know. Here's what I do know. I know he's been an IU person for a long time. His brother played basketball at IU. Danny,
I've heard of him.
Danny is an IU person. I know on his radio show, he takes a lot of heat. He's an IU person. End of story. Once you're an IU guy, you're an IU guy, and that's it. And people may not like a lot of stuff that he says, but they have a tough time arguing with some of the stuff that he says. And here's the bottom line to it. If Tom Dockich would be a great person for them to interview. If they don't interview him, I won't feel like they've done complete due diligence. Now,
you think because he's Dan's brother that puts a little
I think
onus on him?
I think that tie help. I think it should help. I think that should be a tie that would help because he's been attached to Indiana University at a very close level. I mean, Danny was the head coach at IU at one point. Let's not forget that. So, he's had a really close tie, and this is a person who, trust me, still deep down may not agree with a lot of stuff that's happened at Indiana University, but still likes Indiana University. And I think Danny, he's a contract attorney out of Indianapolis. He's done some unbelievably huge, impressive things. He's got a huge project going on right now up in northern Indiana. And just you go look at his resume of things that have happened business-wise and things he's accomplished. And if his hat's not in the ring, I would be surprised.
Tim says we should hire Todd.
I think a couple of felonies would eliminate me from
moving right along. Roger,
let's. Hey, Tim, quit trying to suck up to me. You rip on me 4 days out of the week. Don't make Tuesday your nice to Todd day.
That's what I think. That's exactly what today is. Be nice to Todd.
Be nice to Todd day. Okay, I'm going to start looking forward to Tuesdays then.
Roger checked in and said the IU golf course is another improvement that can be cited to Fred.
Oh man,
definitely under his watch.
Ned Fowl.
Woo. But actually, how much was Scott Dolson actually
huge
ramrodding that particular project? And that's a thing that I think people don't understand. That's the kind of stuff that Scott Dolson has been doing. He's been ramrodding these big time projects, or right there in the middle of all of them.
This would be interesting to know because I know it a little bit more from the inside than the average person, but still nowhere near the level of what it really gets to. But when they bring in a facility, when they do a facility like that, like the football practice facility and the new IU locker room and Cook Hall and the new golf course and all those things, one of the biggest factors in all of that is the fundraising side of it. And that's what Scott Dolson's been in charge of for a long time. And so I know it goes down, and believe me, I love Fred Glass. Fred Glass is absolute pure class, and he has always been. I mean, if you want someone to say, hey, this is our AD, I am so proud to say Fred Glass is Indiana University's AD. So this is nothing against him. I'm just saying I think Scott Dolson has played a really big role in a lot of the things that have happened that Fred Glass, I'll say, gets credit for because they happened during his tenure.
I think we get all these guys on here and we interview each and every one of them. We get Pat Kraft on, Chris Reynolds, Scott Dolson, and Tom Dockage.
We should do the interview process.
We do the public side. They're going to do the behind the doors and the quiet stuff. We can do the out in the public kind of thing.
I can help
kind of a meet the people.
Give me at least a day to, I like to be prepared. Give me at least a day so that I can prepare a list of questions where I don't sound like the biggest buffoon on the show.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people, well, mostly from Southern Indiana, probably throw up Tom Jurich, which is kind of funny. Tom Jurich has about as much chance as just oodles, bags and bags of baggage that Indiana would not have any interest in, and so,
I have just as good a chance.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, both of us. I know. Actually, you have a better chance. I have just as good a chance as Tom Jurich. You have a better chance than Tom Jurich. So, yeah, we can put that name to bed now. But you should get Tom Dockage on the show. We'll talk to him about it.
I would love to do that. I would love to talk to Tommy about it.
So, yeah, just have him come on so we can
All right.
do that.
We'll do it. We'll do it for
that.
sure.
Yeah,
we'll get Chris. I'll call Chris too. We'll get Chris on here. I would just like to have his opinion. Chris is going to give the very political anscer of.
Well, they all are. They have.
He
to.
hasn't given. Tom won't.
This is a high-profile position, especially before you get it. You have to, oh my gosh. Like right now, you got to make sure your hair's combed. You don't have any salad in your teeth. I mean, it's every little stupid little thing. And it's dumb because, Tom Jurich, they brought them up. Now, he's not a viable candidate, but I do look at like the president they hired about a year ago, Neely Bendapudi, completely outside of their deal. She's not from Louisville. She's originally from India, but just an affable person. She has taken to that community. She is out in the community all the time. And then they've got their athletic director, which is Vince Tyra, who I believe no, he did not. He played a Kentucky. But anyway, he has done the same thing. He's out with them all the time. He's out doing things in the community. And somebody like that's tied, that really gravitates to the school. Like you meant, like talk about Fred Glass. It's what he did. I mean, he is an Indiana guy. So he really loved being the athletic director, or loves being the athletics director for Indiana. He loves the position he's in. And that's an important thing. You have to love where you are.
No doubt. And he's showed it in his job. I mean, he showed it in what he's accomplished, but he's also shown it day to day. I think we'd be hard pressed to find someone that didn't say, hey, working in the athletic department under all of these guys we're mentioning has not been a pleasure. And I like working with them. And that's also a big part of it.
We got plenty more coming up, man. We've got, we've already played Chronic. Yeah. So Chronic's already been on with us, but we got lots more to talk about. So we got lots more to get to on this athletic director hunt. We're going to hear from Archie Miller. Yeah, I almost forgot who the Indiana basketball coach was. We're going to hear from Archie talking about the defense and how they played last week as they head down towards the game this week with Notre Dame and the Crossroads Classic. So plenty more to get to. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Duckett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey sports fans, this is Lily King. Make sure you tune into Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
to the basics of love.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here. It's Tuesday, December 17, and the white stuff is falling in central Indiana, man. It was almost gone yesterday, Todd, but she's back with a vengeance.
Yeah. I got no point of reference.
It's a great week.
Green grass here, brother.
Great week for it. Not a lot going on. The students are tucked away, taking finals. One of the funnest weeks you can have when you're in college.
Yeah. No kidding.
Oh my God! I remember, because as I've mentioned before, I was very studious when it came to attending class, but I was not very studious when it came to studying until test time came around.
Yeah, I was one of those people that believed I could cram for everything in about 12 hours, and so yeah, the just my anxiety level goes up when we just mention finals week. I promise you, like, I'm not a person that has bad dreams and things like that a lot, but I used to wake up all the time. And the only real bad dream I could remember having was when I was in school and having a dream that I missed a final and I failed a class and was ineligible. And it used to be recurring. It was terrifying.
The new women's poll came out. I don't think Indiana moved this week. I think that there wasn't a lot of movement, so they're still 12th at 10-1, and a couple spots in front of them at number 10, UCLA.
That's coming up.
That's this Sunday, I think. So I will definitely be there for that.
Is that this Sunday?
Indiana's only loss is
to Baylor.
The number 7 Baylor. But one of their wins is over number 5 South Carolina, who their only loss is to number 12 Indiana. So there's a great group of teams. I mean, the women's basketball's got they're pretty deep. You start at number 1 Stanford, Connecticut there, Oregon State, South Carolina, Louisville, Baylor, Florida State, North Carolina State, UCLA, Texas A&M, Indiana. Then Maryland. Maryland is the cream of women's basketball, cream of the crop in the Big Ten for women's basketball. They've long time been a solid program. For Indiana to be ranked ahead of them, that is monumental, folks. It's monumental. Maryland is one of those programs, women's basketball, that is year in, year out. They're good. They're solid. Indiana is the top team in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, and
chew on that for a minute.
They got a real good chance at even moving up in that, because that game Sunday, which is a noon tip-off at Assembly Hall, by the way, that gives them an opportunity to beat another ranked opponent. They've got back-to-back ranked opponents here. They got Michigan State coming a week later, right after this UCLA game. But to get UCLA coming into Assembly Hall would just be – I know we say it all the time, but this is not kidding. Like, it would be awesome to get a huge fan base and a huge crowd in there to support this team that has, done a lot of – I brag about them just because they're good. It's like the soccer team. I brag about them just because they're good, and I feel like it's almost my duty to attend a game, start attending their games regularly just because I brag about them so much. So I'll be there. I will be there with you, brother.
I may have to get Terry Morin on one day as well.
Yeah, well, let's do that right after we go and watch them play, and that way we can at least say we were there.
There you go. But yeah, looking forward to that, man. I've been to several of their games.
I know you go. I feel guilty because I haven't been yet. So it's almost like I feel guilty even talking about how good they are, because I've just watched some of the film on Big Ten Network, Big Ten Plus, but I feel like seeing it live in person would make a big difference. So I'll be there Sunday.
I almost forgot tomorrow. Big news tomorrow. It's signing day in football, in college football. It's the early signing period.
First day?
Yeah, so we're going to be out afterwards, after the show tomorrow. I'll be out at the football complex getting all that information, see what kind of class are going to come out. Tom Allen, he holds his National Signing Day press conference tomorrow afternoon at 2, so we'll be out there. We'll have all that on Thursday as well. So we'll see what kind of class they can pull. He's done pretty daggone well so far, man. Last couple of years, obviously, he's had great classes, and I expect that to continue.
Yeah, that's always a huge day. That's a a nerve-wracking day. I know tonight they'll be going to sleep just praying that all the kids that I've committed just stick to it and sign that document tomorrow. But most of the kids do nowadays. If they're going somewhere else, they've already kind of announced it.
Yep, looking forward to it. But that's coming up. So, and then of course Saturday we've got the Crossroads Classic, Indiana Notre Dame. Indiana back to action on the men's side on the hardwood. That's always a fun deal up there. That they didn't have that when you were playing. They had so many other different things.
We had the Hoosier Classic. It was just as good, right?
Yeah. Who'd you play in that? Troy and
Butler.
Now, see, that's back when Butler was the old Butler.
Just telling you. I mean,
not the Butler of new.
Butler, Indiana State.
I don't think Brad Stevens was coaching Butler then.
He was not. I just like to say that because all my Butler friends get really ticked off when I say stuff like that. Obviously, they're in a different class now than they were early in my career at Indiana. But heck, they beat us when I was a senior. So it's really kind of stupid for me to even bring it up.
Roger pointing out that the women's game on Sunday is on BTN. So if you can't make it to the Simon Scott Assembly Hall in Bloomington,
the snow will be gone. Make it to Assembly Hall.
The snow will be gone. But National Signing Day is tomorrow for football. So I'll be out there at the football complex again. After that, we were out there yesterday because of Fred Glass making his resignation announcement. So all kinds of information coming up. Plenty to cover there.
When you're choking like that, am I supposed to just fill in and just start talking?
Well, I tried to turn it down so you didn't hear it.
Sorry. I wasn't looking, so I didn't see you.
I was going to say, could you still hear it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I was just saying, thought I killed it there. The cough.
It's okay. It's okay.
Button. But signing day coming on Wednesday. So I don't know that this class is going to be as big as the last two, but we'll see.
As big as meaning the number of players, or as big meaning rated as high?
Both. And I'm not saying it's not going to be good. It's just that he's been last couple. The last two classes were the two highest classes of all time.
You're such a fanboy nerd. Because all the fat people that can't rate players anyway in any sport don't rate these guys as high as some of the other kids. As long as the coaching staff wants them, that's all I want to know. Because I take their opinions a little bit higher than some guy sitting in his living room ranking a bunch of high school kids.
Right. Well, regardless, it just simply won't be as ranked.
I know
as high.
You won't jump on board with me when I say that, but I don't. Those people don't have any idea what they're doing.
Right. Regardless of that, it's just looking at the numbers comparative to the last couple of classes. It won't be maybe ranked quite as high. But
what position needs to be filled the most, in your opinion?
Offensive line is a great place to start. Defensive line, they
got a transfer on the offensive line, right? Then they get a transfer coming in.
Have a grad transfer coming in, I think, from Stanford. There.
Do they do the same kind of thing? And I literally just don't know. Like a grad transfer, do they sign the same way like that, like a incoming freshman would?
No, he's already announced he's transferring to Indiana. That's a transfer.
So I just don't know. I'm not.
No, I mean they might consider him a part of the class theoretically, but it's not a part of the class because the class will graduate 4 to 5 years later or whatever.
Right.
So in that regard, but the numbers won't be as high because they don't have as many guys to lose. That's the biggest reason why the class won't be as big. 80% of the players on this particular roster are underclassmen. Of the 113 players on the IU football roster, 80 are underclassmen. So they don't have as many spots. They're going to have a big bubble in a couple of years from now, but right now it's not as big. So
that probably makes it more difficult. It probably makes it more difficult to get guys to commit when they see that your very young roster are guys who are already playing, a bulk of the minutes.
Players will play. Players say they can play, but there's also certain spots where they can fill in, though, that there's a great need.
Yeah.
Offensive line being one of those. That's shown itself with the injuries that go down, and in the sport of football, it's next man up all the time.
Right.
And you've got to be ready because your position, odds are, at one point or another, is going to come open for a minute, at least due to injury. And we've seen that no matter what position it was, receiver, quarterback, offensive line, defensive guys, every position has to have multiple layers. That's why you have to be 3 deep in the Big Ten. That's why you see guys at Ohio State, their third team guys can start at most colleges.
Right.
They're 3 deep, people. That's why they're so damn good. These places are 3 deep. It's crazy the depth that they have, and that's what Tom Allen has been working on to try to increase Indiana's depth at the positions, especially like offensive line, where you have a lot of turnover, a lot of injuries throughout the season. So hopefully that continues. Now, there's no reason to think that it won't.
Yep. No, that just would have to be. I mean, I've never, surprisingly, I guess I've never really given it a whole lot of consideration as to how. You almost have to sign guys up knowing that that they're going to be an offensive or defensive lineman and most likely only play their juniors and senior years because they're going to be a backup for a year or two, unless they just come in and blow everybody away, or they're some incredibly gigantic sized human. But that'd be a real tough recruiting process.
Well, it's tough because
every kid thinks he's going to play immediately. Every kid thinks he's going to come in and change the whole world. If you don't, then you don't have the right attitude to play anyway.
I'll tell you what's tough is recruiting kids to Indiana when you've not had anything to show them.
Yeah.
And Tom Allen did that unbelievably off the heels of 2 5-7 seasons. I can't believe the success he had. Now he's got an 8-4 season to say, see, I told you, this is what I told you we were going to do. And they're doing what he said. So it's got to be a lot easier to sell now for him. And especially going down to Florida and these places where he's recruiting. Now that you have a bowl game down there, that's just all adding into his ammunition that he's going to be using.
Getting those guys to initially come. So once you've got the bulk of those players, wasn't it like 25 players?
Yeah, they have 25 or 26.
Yeah. So once you've got that, think about the ability of them to be able to help you go back and recruit, not just by saying, hey, we got a kid from your high school right down the street, is having that kid actually, because that's what's more involved in it nowadays, is these kids, on social media, you can have your players, tweeting guys or whatever you call it, trying to get these guys to understand how great it is here. And the coaching staff does this. And, once you've got those guys here, having them help you recruit just has to be monumental in accomplishing, that only getting bigger and more guys from there. So, the initial part of it, which would appear to be the hardest part of it, they've done and accomplished. So that's should only be easier, but it's never easy in recruiting.
You've got Tom Allen's got the new contract in his hip pocket that he can also say, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here. I want to be here. I just signed a nice long contract, so I'm going to be here the whole time you're in school.
He could walk in the
make
door,
it rain,
making it rain.
Start making it rain. Todd's making the make it rain sign.
I was doing it. It was cool. It was cool, wasn't it? Looked cool.
Making it rain. Yeah, he can. But that's got to help too, because again, look at the job he did without any of that. He did that without having good seasons behind him. He did it without having a contract. And now that he's got that stuff in his hip pocket, there's no reason to think that is not going to continue and improve. I mean, teams get better. See, it hasn't happened. It's never happened in Indiana. They have just not risen up out of the ashes and gotten up there, and they're sticking their head up. Yeah, they're sticking their head up right now, and they've got their hands out of the water. It's just, can they get all the way out of the water and keep coming, especially in a season where you see Michigan State. Michigan State took a hit this year. They finished below Indiana.
Right.
Indiana should have beat them. They didn't, so they let that one get away. But anyway, they were better than Michigan State this year. But they've got to maintain that. That's what Indiana has to do. They have to take over a spot in that Big Four of the Big Ten East and claim that for their own and get up there and stay up there.
Yeah. I remember back in the Bill Mallory days, and if you ever were around him and heard him talk, you knew his passion for the football program. And I don't care whether you liked him or didn't like him. By the time he got done talking, you wanted to go hit somebody and play football, and you want to put a helmet on and go play. And I remember what motivationally, he was incredible. And then I thought Terry Hepner was kind of the same way. When you were around him, once you got done talking to him, oh my gosh, you wanted to go play in a game right away. And I get this same feeling from Tom Allen. Like Tom Allen, I mean, if you don't think this guy isn't passionate, then we're on different levels, because this guy will make you want to go out and play in a football game right now. And that's, imagine him sitting one-on-one with you and your family. I mean, they've got to be exhausted by the time he walks out of their house. So it's just, I think that he's only going to continue to succeed. All the things are going positively in his direction. And he's just, all those coaches that have had super success, I think, at Indiana or been on the right track have all been those kind of great motivational talking guys. And Tom Allen, might lead the way with that. He's right there with Bill Mallory.
You hit on some great ones. Hey, we got a lot more to talk about when we come back. We're going to talk a little bit about a basketball Indiana. We'll hear from Archie Miller as Indiana heads into the Crossroads Classic on Saturday up in Indianapolis. Bankers Life Fieldhouse taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the early game at noon. We'll talk about all that and a lot more here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Quayle and Larry. Coming back right after this.
I have found
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Yeah, a little Tom Petty gets you going here on this Tuesday morning. Welcome back to Coyle and Larry on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. You know, Saturday, Indiana takes on Notre Dame in the Crossroads Classic. They're off all week. Everybody taking finals and going through all that biz. So they'll be looking forward to getting on the court against Notre Dame. It means they're not studying or taking tests anymore, which
Or
I'm sure they
practicing.
are happily away from that stuff.
Yeah, this finals week is the worst. I mean, you got practice and finals and studying all the time. 3 terrible things.
Studying when you're tired.
Yep. Tired, hurt, worn out. I don't know. I was not a good student. Some people enjoy studying and enjoy school. I was not one of those. I just wasn't very good at it. That's just, they say to do with what you're good at, and I just wasn't very good at it. I had to work
Archie Miller had his
hard.
radio show last night, talked about quite a few things. One of those was the health of Devontae Green. Seems like he just needs some time off. Of course, they're always a little vague with the injuries.
Load management. With load management?
Load management, it's it. He needs some load management. That would be a great question to ask now. Is Devontae under load management?
Are we load managing him for his NBA career?
Did you see the clip of him?
No.
Oh, you got to go back and look at it. Oh my God, you got to go back and look at it. He gets it. It pissed him off, and then at the end,
what clip are you talking about?
Of Archie Miller. Someone asked Archie Miller about load management a while back.
Oh no, I didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, you got to go back and look that up.
I do need to.
I'll have to find it and show it to you. But yeah, he's like, excuse me, what? Jake, find that clip. He says, what? Load management? Is that something they got going in the NBA? Which he knows exactly what is going on.
Right.
Because he followed that up with, I think Doc Rivers just got fined $50,000 for talking about load management. So I don't think I need to be talking about load management. And then he ends, he goes, loads. Under his breath, you can hear him, loads management. He goes, stupidest beep, beep, beep I've ever heard.
Really?
Oh, yes. Great.
Was that in a press conference?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
man.
I think it was a post game. Did you find that yet? Oh, Jake's got it, man. Make sure you turn it up loud so Todd can hear.
Yeah, I can't hear.
4 minutes today. Just due to load management, like coming back.
Load management? What is that?
Coming back from injury, conditioning, like.
Load management?
Yes.
Load management, is that something like they got going on in like the NBA or something like that?
Correct. Yes.
I think Doc Rivers got fined like $50,000 for like talking about load management. I don't think I should talk about load management, right? John. There's no load management in college basketball. You play every minute that you can play. And in Duran's case, I thought his minutes in the game were pretty good. I told him after the game he should have got a little bit more run there. But the way our team is built right now, you're going to have to find a way on the.
You're pointing to me. What's that mean? We're back on?
Go. We're back on. We're back on.
Are you dead?
Somehow they play.
I can no longer hear you, and I can't hear any of the clips now.
The point was for me to hear it, and I couldn't hear anything. So anyway, I'll listen.
Well, I was wanting for the audience to hear too, so that would have been good. Jake, we cannot hear you. You've muted yourself. You're not coming across. So
we cannot hear anything Jake says.
Yeah, you've muted yourself. So there you go. Now you're back.
Now we can hear you.
Well, we didn't hear it. We couldn't hear it.
I can't comment on if I didn't hear it.
But the whole point is for him to hear it. They've heard it.
Forget it. Moving on.
Man.
I get the point. I get the point. I mean, obviously I was making a joke when I said that, but
it was funny though. It's actually funny because
What did he say about the injury though? What did he say?
Oh, just he's dealt with some lower leg injury stuff and knees, ankles. Now it's his Achilles, and it's good for him to have a week off. So I don't expect to see him Saturday against Notre Dame, especially because they have another week after that to rest. So
I'll be honest with you. Even if it resulted in a loss,
you're not going to have him play.
I would rather him not play in either one of these two games if it meant he was going to be healthy for the Big Ten season. I'd rather him be ready for the Maryland game. I'm telling you right now, I think Indiana will beat Notre Dame without him. I'm not sure they'll beat Arkansas without him. Arkansas is pretty good. So, but if you told me that they were going to be 11-2 and have Devontae fully healthy for the Maryland game, I would take it over, him nursing an injury all year long because we tried to bring him back a game early.
You want to tell Tim why Indiana's not ranked in the top 25?
Because they laid a complete egg when they went to Wisconsin, and even though the people who do the voting are not very smart, they do realize that Wisconsin's terrible, and that's a terrible, terrible loss that later in the year, it's going to hurt Indiana in some aspect. Now, whether that aspect is a lower seed or keeping them out of a tournament, it's going to hurt them in some aspect because the teams that finish in the top 5 of the Big Ten are going to go into Wisconsin and win. And that game's going to hurt at the end. That's why they're not ranked, because you can't rank them after that. That's a bad, bad loss.
It's the same reason Ohio State is not number 1 this week, because they were set to be number 1.
Yeah.
And they went to the barn and got beat.
Lost to a fairly bad team.
A team they shouldn't have lost to.
Right. And I'll tell you, Minnesota is strides ahead of Wisconsin. Like, Minnesota is a lot better team than Wisconsin. Wisconsin and if you shoot the ball the way they did, which you have to blame Indiana's defense, they're going to be decent. They're going to look okay, but they haven't done that all year long. That's the only game they've really shot the ball that well, and so they're going to get drilled. Like, they're terrible. They're a bad team, and I usually like Wisconsin playing. I mean, they're fundamental and they're fun to watch. This is not one of those teams. They're terrible.
And he points out UK had a terrible loss. Yes, they did, but they also have big wins. They've beaten big-time teams, and they're a better team. You can't compare the two. Indiana fans and their obsession with being in the top 25 is starting to crack me up because, first of all, this team does not deserve to be in the top 25. But secondly, it's just a again, it's that wanting to be the Indiana of old where that's the case normally.
Yeah,
well, fine until it gets to that point, it ain't going to be there.
Okay, but here's my issue with what you're saying with that. All right, because if you're going to go and you're going to say you're going to take West Virginia. West Virginia is ranked 25th. Okay, well, West Virginia sure as heck hasn't beaten anyone. Like, they have beaten Nickel State, Austin Peay. Rhode Island is a mediocre win. Wichita State's a mediocre win. Northern Iowa, Boston, Northern Colorado, Akron. I mean, they've not beaten anyone.
It comes down to respect, and the national media does not have the respect for this Indiana team. It's pure and simple, and that's all there is to it. And it doesn't matter what Indiana fans want. The fact of the matter is national media does not have the respect for this team.
Does that surprise you? Florida State still ranked 19th?
No.
Why not?
Who have they beaten? What's their resume? What's their body of work?
Well, they have 2 losses, and one is to Indiana, and the other one is to Pittsburgh on the road. They beat number 6 Florida, who we know is not number 6. They're terrible. They're not good either.
It doesn't matter. They did it, and that goes on their resume.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Purdue.
Ken Palm has Indiana, I think, 36th right now. All this stuff, whether you like it, don't like it, doesn't matter. You have to take it into consideration. It's just
you have to take what into consideration?
All the information, the Ken Palm ratings, and this and that. This is the information that is used. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter because it's not the Todd Leary theory.
What do you mean what's used? You think the NCAA committee uses the Ken Palm rankings?
Absolutely. Yes, they look at this stuff. Yes, they look at this stuff. Absolutely. All this stuff is used.
Well, then why don't we come out with the Todd Palm rating?
Because it would have Indiana number 1, and it wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't. It most certainly wouldn't. That's insulting to me that you would say that. I'm
just saying they're because they use a multitude of things. They use the human eye, they use computers, they use this and that. And it doesn't matter if you like it or not, it is what it is. This is how it is done. This is what's used.
I'm not saying that I think Indiana should or should not be ranked. I'm saying if you wanted to sit here and go down and argue one team versus another that's on here, we can very certainly sit here and say Indiana.
But the end result, the question is, why is Indiana not in the top 25? And it's because the national media does not have the respect for Indiana that they deserve to be in the top 25. And that is the end of that's just basically the end of that story. That's how it goes.
And here's the educational reaction to that. The national media, who has zero credential to actually rank basketball teams.
But here's the thing. Your argument is not going to change the reality of how the top 25 is arrived at.
Totally agree.
So
your argument doesn't change the reality of.
I don't have an argument. I'm just telling you the facts. See, that's the difference. I'm not giving you an opinion here. I'm delivering facts, and the facts are how the top 25 is arrived at. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying I like it, dislike it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who likes it, doesn't like it. It's the fact of this is how it is arrived at. You don't have to like it, and you can try to poke holes in it. But again, it will not change the fact of how it is arrived at.
But the fact that that's a fact of how they come to doesn't mean I have to agree with it.
That's what I said. I've said that repeatedly.
So I'm saying my opinion of it is.
But that doesn't answer the question of why. But I was answering the question of why.
So my real answer should be because the people who are ranking them base it off of stuff that I don't think they should base it off of.
So that tells me you think Indiana should be in the top 25.
I can make an argument versus probably 5 teams that are in that 15 to 25 range that they should be ranked. North Carolina being ranked on there as they're ranked number 26.
Oh, they're in on name. They're in on name.
100%. And that's my point of what we're talking about. The national media can't stand to not have North Carolina knocked in there or ranked in there. It's crazy.
Not in there now.
Can't stand it.
For the first time since 2014, they drop out.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be ranked without Cole Anthony, and as long as he's not healthy, they shouldn't be ranked in the top 100. They're awful. And I think Roy Williams is an outstanding coach, but that team is terrible without Cole Anthony.
Yeah, well, they lost, and the first time since March of 1996. No,
What?
I'm looking. No, never mind. That's the wrong one. Penn State's ranked this week for the first time since March of 1996.
Are they really?
Penn State, yes,
they should be. They're a top 25 team. I agree. You and
North Carolina is out for the first time since 2014. Like I said,
huh? Yeah. Well,
so they've been ranked in the top 25 since 2014, and now after this most recent loss to Wofford, they gone. So even their preseason hype and the name that they carried is not enough to withstand the losses that they've had. And they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, without Cole Anthony, I mean they're not a very good team. Like that's just the bottom line to it.
And they weren't that great with him.
You're right. I know I don't say that very often, so you're stunned. But yeah, you're right.
Let's see. Tommy says, I heard Mr. Glass tell Fish he had no plan on leaving anytime soon just last year. Well, I mean, that was a year ago. Maybe that changed. With him now announcing his retirement, do you think Archie's seat may have gotten warmer? Well, we talked about that very thing earlier. Not right now, it hasn't. But if he goes this season and fails to make the tournament yet again, absolutely his seat will get hot, without doubt. And especially if an AD comes in from outside of Indiana, and Pat Kraft and Chris Riddles are outside of Indiana because they don't work here right now. So if it's not an inside hire, I think that his seat definitely gets warm because you're already starting to see the fans starting to get a little bit more revved up.
You're gonna love this statement. So based on your last statement to me about stating fact with the AP polls, then you need to start prefacing when you make a statement like that that's just your opinion, because his seat's not necessary. You don't know his seat's going to get hot. I don't think his seat's going to get hot.
I think it's pretty clear that it is my opinion, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
so.
I just like for you to preface it with this is my opinion.
Well, it's coming out of my mouth, so I think it's pretty much a fact that it's my opinion. And I think that most people will agree with that. After 3 years of not making the tournament, his seat and a new athletic director, his seat will get hot. And anybody that doesn't think that is just not paying attention to college athletics.
It's Be Nice to Todd Tuesday. So
that's for Tim. It ain't for me.
It's for everybody.
Nope.
Come on, man.
No, that counts for me. Does not count for me. It's going to be it's going to be very interesting who they hire for a couple of reasons, and that's one of them. Because if it's an outside hire, Archie's seat gets hot if he does not make the tournament this year.
If Archie doesn't make the tournament in the next 2 to 3 years, his seat will be warm.
Todd, you are so wrong on this. You're not. I know that's your opinion. I read a lot of what's going on the outside, and when donors start getting unhappy, that's when your seat gets warm.
Understood.
And that's what is happening. And when if you fail to make the tournament this season, his seat will be warm. Without question.
His seat, okay, so let's take this as a fact. Because
there will not be I can tell you this, there will not be a fifth year with 4 years of not making the tournament. 6 years, that's a dream world. That'll never happen. He will never be here for 6 years and not make the tournament. That is not even that couldn't happen in a million years at Indiana. Not going to happen. He will be so gone. You think they would let him stay here for 6 years and not make the tournament? Really?
I think that.
Surely,
yes.
God, you don't think that.
I do think that.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
I do think that.
Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
First of all, I don't think it'll happen. So I don't.
That's not the argument. That has nothing to do with this discussion. Whether you think it will or not,
okay.
It's you think that he could go 6 years and not make the tournament and still be at Indiana. There is not a chance in hell of that happening. None. 0%, not even 0.1, 0.000% chance of that ever becoming a reality. I'll bet you in my opinion, and I will back that up with a big fat bet.
In your opinion.
Absolutely in my opinion, but I will back that up with a large wager.
I mean, we have 3 more years to analyze that statement.
No, we don't.
So.
That's where you're wrong. We don't. Because I promise you, we won't be having this discussion 3 years if he has not made the tournament because he won't be here.
I mean, that's a possibility. I agree with that's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a distinct possibility.
It's a possibility.
Let's hope that that's not the case.
It's not going to be the case. I firmly believe it's not going to be the case. They're going to make the tournament this year. Like this will all be a moot point.
Well, and the thing is,
they're going to win 14 games in the Big Ten. 14 games in the Big Ten, which is going to put them with 25 victories, right?
And I'll tell you, if they make the tournament this year, that's getting something done because this ain't a normal year. This is even harder. It's hard enough to have a successful season, but this is going to make it even more difficult because of the unbelievable depth and parity in the Big Ten. It's crazy what we've seen so far this year, and that only makes things more difficult. You cannot afford any more losses like the Wisconsin loss. There goes their margin for error is out the window.
Here's the way to look at this, and this is, believe me, this is totally against how I was brought up in basketball. But I think it's the new way of looking at it. And so let's take the all the way up to January schedule of Indiana, and they've got 13 games. If they finish that at 12-1, I think we would view that as a successful start to the season. Agree? You agree with that? Even though it's got a terrible loss in it, the loss is awful. But we would still view that as successful. So then if you start going down through the roster and you look at them or the schedule, and you look at the schedule and you're like, ooh, that's going to be a tough one, and that would be a tough loss. But if you start ranking them by 3 or 4 games at a time, so they've got a stretch where they've got at Penn State, they've got Maryland at home, actually, Michigan State at home, Maryland at home, at Penn State, at Ohio State. Rank those 4 games together, and you say, hey, if they win 2 of those 4, you feel decent about it. If they win 3 of the 4, you'd have to feel great about it. Wouldn't you say that? And at that point, you could still have, no matter which one of those 4 they lost, you could still say within that was a successful little stretch. And that's the way we're going to look at this first 13 games eventually. Now, believe me, I'm the nitpickiest person of all in saying we squandered away an unbelievable opportunity to be 13-0 going into the Big Ten, going into January, because they should have won that Wisconsin game.
Does a big win equal out a bad loss?
No.
Or a bad loss cannot be compensated?
It can be overcome, but it's got to be overcome with a group of games, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hey, we got one more break to get to before we finish out the show. We'll be back with plenty more arguments. Here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Corey O'Leary back right after this.
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary on this Tuesday, December 17. Hope you're having a good day, staying warm, staying dry. If you're not outside, don't go out. If you're in central Indiana, if you're southern Indiana, it doesn't matter. You got
come play golf with me.
Yeah, shut it. Tommy texted in and said, "Drug test, Todd."
Hey, Jake, can you play the clip back during the break right there where Jim apologized and said he was completely wrong to me of everything he said in the last segment?
Yeah,
can you play that clip back?
That'd be magical because that never happened.
Can you play that clip back where he completely apologized and said he was completely wrong and everything I said was right? Let's play that clip.
That's going to take some finding because that never happened.
We can't fit that in today. We'll get that in tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll put that in tomorrow.
I guess that's got to be created.
I heard it. That's what I heard out of that.
Tommy said drug test, Todd. I say he will be gone if they don't make the tournament this year. Ooh, see, I'm telling you, the fans, they're done. They're done watching this stuff, brother. That 6-year window.
They're done watching 12 out of 13 wins.
They're done watching losing 12 in a row, not making the NCAA tournament. Is what they're done. They're done watching success. They're done watching teams. Year. Exactly. And the year before that, they didn't make the tournament either. And if they don't make the tournament this year, there will be hell to pay. That's 6 year. That's a dream world. That is a dream world that does not exist in college athletics today.
You're cute. You're cute.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, Bowl game, man. We got a bowl game coming up in Jacksonville, Florida. Looking forward to that. Can't wait. I found out the team where they'll be practicing is like 30 miles north of town, which that kind of sucks. But what are you going to do? Everything can't be perfect, right?
I guess not.
Not really going to complain about anything since it's within the state of Florida. I'm not complaining.
Probably closer to Augusta. I'm going to see if I can go get on Augusta while we're down there. Can't be too far from there.
You got some friends at Augusta, do you?
I do not. I definitely do not.
I was going to say, boy.
Don Fisher does, though. Don Fisher has played Augusta National.
That I don't doubt. And Don, we talked to Don Monday, and he said, yeah, I may have to pack those clubs down there. So he is.
Believe me, when we had any opportunity in traveling with the team to pack our clubs, we packed our clubs. Don and I played many around. The Final Four, actually, in 2002, we played some awesome courses down there in Atlanta. It was great.
Yeah, how far outside of Atlanta is Augusta?
It's about 30, 40. I mean, depending on traffic, obviously, but it's not far out. I mean, it's like 45 minutes, maybe.
South?
Maybe towards Jacksonville, like towards South Carolina border over there. It's kind of right on the border. You know where Zion's from? Zion Williamson?
Not
like
really.
Right there. I forget the name of that town right there in southern South Carolina, but it's right on the border of Augusta, like literally the border of.
Tomorrow's college football signing day. Matt Weaver joins us from Peaks.com. That's perfect timing, huh?
Hey, can't hurt.
Of course, we'll be out at Football Complex in the afternoon. Tom Allen having his press conference at 2, talking about who signed and who all they got. What was that?
Yeah, you went down all of a sudden.
Well, how's that? That's better?
Much better. That's much better.
Woo, that's very little turn up too. Man.
I mean, I earlier when you were saying all that dumb stuff, I tried to turn your mic down on my end and it didn't work. But apparently, it has a delay.
Oh, we can. I can make that happen.
Man, I cracked myself up. Let's talk about Archie's defense. Weren't we talking about some defense?
Absolutely. Well, Archie was talking about the lack of defense, basically, the problems that they had against Nebraska that allowed them to do what they did and push that game into overtime. But Archie talked about that on his radio show. Let's hear what the big man had to say.
We just had a really, really hard time in the game containing the dribble. And just watching it, just the straight line drives, the inability to keep our defense intact. They just got lanes, and they hit the lanes, really, really, pretty much, for 30 straight minutes. We just had a hard time guarding the ball, and it related into a lot of baskets, a lot of threes for them. Thankfully for us, we got fouled. We did do a couple of the things that we needed to do against them because they're not a great rebounding team. We were able to do that. We were able to get to the foul line and establish the foul line, which was huge. And, we played with a lot of different guys in the game, but it was one of those games that I hope down the line teaches not only our team that every game is hard, but you have to be really, really sharp because a game can change quickly. And as the game changes, there's so many special situations, opportunities in that game that, we weren't very good in. And for me, as I look back on it, I wasn't very good for our team, on game night, which, is hard to accept as a coach. You want to make sure that your guys are prepared and you're helping them on the run. But we had some situations in that game that we could have done better. Part of it is I could have done better in helping them. And I think as we evolve, we're thankful we won the game. But I think that as we watch the film, you maybe get a couple more days to digest. You watch them play against Purdue, and your respect level kind of goes up for their players.
Right.
You may not be as familiar with them. Maybe they're newer, but, Cam Mack has a triple-double against Purdue. He was unstoppable in our game. We could not keep him in front. Their two-guard went crazy in both games, and they hit a ton of threes, and they basically play with an open floor, and it was a difficult cover for us. But I'm thankful we got 96 points. We were able to make key free throws, and we end up winning an overtime game at home with, a lot of guys stepping up. Demezy, really good late in the game, played well in overtime, 8 free throws. Rob stepped up, played his most meaningful minutes of the season, kind of showed his heart, and we were able to get that win. And when you it'll go back in February and March, but game one, whether it's in December or January, man, they all count in the Big Ten. And for us to be able to win that home game was a big one for us.
It was a big win. There's Archie Miller talking about the game against Nebraska. We talked about the speed of their guards. They went to that small lineup and used that speed to their advantage. Indiana, obviously going with the big lineup, didn't really adjust to what Nebraska was doing. And it caused enough, although Indiana was very successful in the paint, that speed and those guards caused enough problems, obviously, that made that a very, very difficult game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22. If you go big trying to, instill your power against them, you struggle to defend when they've got a small, quick lineup in. And it goes vice versa. Like they were struggling to guard Indiana on the inside. We're looking at it from Indiana's perspective, so we're looking at what they struggled on. And, defensively, I said this the other day, like Nebraska is a difficult team to, even though they're not that great and they don't play that well together because they're all brand new to the program. They're a difficult team to scheme for because they play really small a lot of times. And, you're just not used to having a lineup on your floor that matches up with that size wise and speed wise. But then, you also don't want to completely change your game and go away from what your strengths are and what you're good at. And Indiana in that game, they did have some guys step up. I mean, Demizi was able to play kind of he was kind of the hybrid where he was a little bit smaller than maybe the Joey Brunk or Deron Davis, so he could guard different guys. But then on the offensive end, he was still big enough to be bigger than the guys he was playing against. And he got fouled and got to the free throw line and knocked down his free throws. And that's the difficult part of basketball. That's where the coaching and X's and O's part comes into it, because you've got to look at the value of playing to your strengths versus trying to take away the other team's strengths, and what mix of players on the floor does that the best. And a lot of times it's not your best, your most talented five guys. It's a lot of times that's why Bob Knight teams were so successful. That's one of the things Bob Knight was great at, was taking away the other team's strengths and kind of mixing that with a group of guys that, you take away their strengths, which is pretty much your defense. And then offensively, you still have guys on the floor that are capable of running the offense. And that's why the motion offense was, in our opinion, so successful, because you could kind of run it with anybody. You could run it with a guy like me, and you can run it with a guy like Calvert. So, that's why I think college basketball is away from that a lot. You don't see anyone run the motion offense anymore. Primarily because they don't understand the benefits of it. But, that's what this team has to just continue to get better at, is figuring out the mix of what players, what's the best combination of players defensively that can still score points on the offensive end.
Absolutely. Indiana looks to find that out on Saturday outside of the conference. They take on Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame kind of gotten away from the success that Mike Bray has had with them over the last couple of years. They've struggled a little bit. Hasn't been the Notre Dame of past. Indiana, last time they played, as a matter of fact, that game went to overtime. I think the last two times. No, the last time they played went to overtime, but Juwan Morgan had 34 and 35 points, respectively, in back-to-back games against the Fighting Irish. They won't have Juwan this time, of course, but they will have Trace Jackson Davis, who has been very, very active in the paint for Indiana. Multiple double-doubles for him this year. I think 5 on the season, the last one coming in the second half against Nebraska, the 22 and 10. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's a team that, they've got 3 losses on the year. 2 of them, one's to Maryland, one's to North Carolina. So, those are not real bad losses. But they've been playing better as of late. They just beat UCLA, who's UCLA's not a great team, but they're decent. They've got good, talented players on there. So they're a team that's playing better and gaining more confidence, which is kind of scary. And they're going to look at what Nebraska was successful at against Indiana and try to emulate some of that. They don't have the same kind of makeup and players, so I don't think they'll be near as successful at driving the basketball. But Notre Dame's shooting the ball a lot better than they were early in the season, and therefore they're playing better on the offensive end.
The Colts got beat last night, knocked out of the playoffs by Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees now is the all-time leading touchdown pass record holder, passing Peyton Manning in that game last night. I meant to play there was a clip that Peyton had recorded this. It's been a while, but where he congratulated him on, what was it, on the total yardage, I think. the all-time record for yardage, that he broke that record of Peyton's that Peyton previously held. And then I think he went ahead and
went ahead and pre-recorded
pre-recorded the next one. Here's how it sounded. Let me get this going here.
So passing yards? Okay. So I still have the touchdown record, right?
He's actually on pace to break that too.
What? Great. Also, let this serve as the congratulations for the touchdown record, because as you can see, I'm very busy. I don't have time to keep doing these videos for you.
He's cutting up tomatoes.
But in all seriousness, Drew, congratulations on this record. You've done it the right way. All your hard work and dedication have paid off. You and I have come a long way since this picture back in 2000 when you were in college and I was in my third year in the NFL. So way to go. Proud of you. Good luck the rest of the way.
Peyton Manning talking about that was recorded last year when he beat his record for most yardage in the NFL.
I know Peyton. I mean, obviously, he was one of the most fun players to watch play. Not just because I was a Colts fan, but just because of his preparation and his ability to pick apart defenses. But I mean, this dude, he's just a talented human, because some of the videos and some of the things he's done on this, oh my gosh, he's a riot. I mean, he is just hilarious. So he's awesome. Awesome that we could claim him as a.
Did you ever see him when he was on Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
There was one clip they were doing out in the park where he was throwing the balls to the kids.
Yeah.
And he hit the one kid in the back of the head.
Right, yeah.
He's cussing him out. It's like, oh, my God.
He's
hilarious. He's just like – now, I will one caveat to Drew Brees breaking that record. Peyton Manning did it with 20 or so less games. So that's like an entire season less.
Yeah, but you can – you say that.
And if you take away the year that Peyton Manning lost and that basically he was never the same after that surgery.
But look, that's like saying, hey, Joe Montana did it in 14 games per season versus 6. I mean, we could sit here and do that all day. It's more of a passing league. You could play that all day. It's an unbelievable feat, and it'll get broken again by somebody down the road. It's just
I don't know, man. Now. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that
John Brady's going to breed on Sunday.
He just beat Tom Brady. He just put Tom Brady behind him. He passed Tom Brady.
You think Tom Brady's done? You think he's not going to come out and throw any more touchdowns?
No, but I don't. He's not having the year that he's been having, and Drew Brees is having a good season. It's going to continue. It's just going to continue.
Tom Brady's got 2 home games to finish the year, and Drew Brees has 2 away games. Tom Brady will be the leader.
I promise you, Tom Brady will be gunning for it. That's a fact.
Tom Brady will have it by the end of the season.
It's going to be a back. No, ooh, okay. We're betting dinner on that.
Okay. That's
a good little bet. That'll be a back and forth thing. But I do know Tom Brady will be gunning for that record.
Tom Brady, when they win the Super Bowl this year, will have that record.
The Saints, the Patriots are not winning the Super Bowl this year.
Really, you're really going to bet against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady?
Yes, absolutely.
You are a part of the media. Part of the unknowledgeable, just go along with the way things are going media. Don't give him any credit.
Right.
By the way, I hate the Patriots, and I don't ever root for the Patriots, so I'm just saying this just to irritate you.
Tim sent a clip.
Tim sent a clip? Yeah.
I think he recorded you. I can't play it. It's not playing for me. But I think he recorded you saying you agree with him.
Yeah. Well, that never happened either.
Yeah.
It must have been in the same break. That was in the same break when you told me you apologized for being wrong.
That absolutely did not happen.
You don't have to apologize every time you're wrong. We don't have that kind of time on the show.
Right. That's why we're going to get out of here now, because it ain't happening now either. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us today. We appreciate it. We appreciate Chronic Hoosier. Appreciate you guys listening to us as always. Hey, we're back tomorrow, of course, with more. Matt Weaver's going to join us at signing day in college football. And don't forget, this Saturday, we're going to be in Indianapolis for the Crossroads Classic. Indiana taking on Notre Dame after the game with Todd Leary is taking place at the Tap on Mass Avenue in Indianapolis. So don't forget that. Come on out and be a part of that. Join with us. So look forward to that. But been another great day, man.
It has. It's always great to be right all the time, and today was another example of that.
Looking forward to it. We'll be back tomorrow with plenty more. For Jake, for Todd, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.